Welcome to APCUG's Wednesday workshop, where we get together in the middle of the week to learn more about technology. It's March. And as you know, in March, this is National Backup Month. I think the 30th or the 31st is the official day, but we don't want you to wait until the last minute. We want you to be starting to back up because, as the sign says, data loss is just down the street, just ahead. It's not a matter of if you're going to lose data, it's a matter of when. And if you lose data, there's not much we can do about it. If your data gets all corrupted or encoded, backing up is important. So we take the month of March and we drill it in your heads with workshops. Today we have a presenter who's very well known to everybody, so I'm not going to do a lot of introduction. Judy Taylour, who's president of the SCV club in California, also a member of the Speakers Bureau, and happens to be one of the co-hosts of the Wednesday workshop. She's going to start us off today with a good basic class. We're going back to school now because today she's presenting Backup Basics 101 for seniors. So Judy, over to you.
Thank you so much. And that was the call I was waiting for, which is too bad. For many of you, this is a reminder and oops, I forgot to do that, or I used to do that, and I'm going to start doing it again. And for some of you who, when we would be in person and I would say, how many people no longer back up or have never backed up? And they sheepishly put their heads down so you knew it was them, but then they raised their hands. And this is a very basic backing up 101 for seniors. And you really need to do what the graphic says. You need to back up all of your important stuff. So I have a question. How many people have ever lost photos or files? And you need to think about that and think, oh, gee, that's me. Whatever happened to it? And the other question is did you ever get them back? I worked in the legal department and general counsel greeted me one day with everything on my hard drive is gone. He was quite computer literate, and it was his history of the cases that he had worked with and all that good kind of stuff. And so it was work. So I sent the hard drive off to a place that would recover that information. And lo and behold, he got very little back. So no matter who you are, what you do, you really need to be backing up. So here's some buzzwords. People talk about this kind of stuff and we haven't got a clue. So they talk about the drive, the system image, a full backup. What is that? Well, super simple. It's a complete copy of every single thing on your Windows hard drive, whether it is a platter that you are still using the old record player one, or it's an SSD. It's every single thing on it. And most people say it's an image backup. But you'll see your operating system, your boot sector files, your drivers. And if something happens, you can use that to wipe everything off your computer, and it comes back with that image backup that you made with all of your programs, all of your apps, all of your data, everything. That's not something I do personally, but You really need to think, is that something that is for you? Is that what you would like to do? I just told somebody the other day that whenever something like that would happen, I would just go out and buy a new computer with the latest and greatest operating system. So I back up my data. What's really, really important to me is my data. I back up every day. Back in the day, over 20 years, I taught tech classes through adult ed, and I was, whipping up curriculum and all this good kind of stuff. And I did not want to be, putting a new set of curriculum together for a class and have it disappear because something happened with that data. So I back up every day, and I still do. With this presentation that I worked on through the night, it was backed up twice. And I'm a very happy camper with that. But you yourself need to decide how often you want to back up. So you can back up incrementally. And this is what I do. It only backs up the changes. First time you back up, they back up everything but the kitchen sink, and that's probably included. But after that, I only have my changes backed up to a document. I don't need to have old versions of documents, because if I need a new version, I do it as a -1 with the same title, or the -2. I'm a visual person, and that's easier for me to see. Differential, based on your most current previously full data backup, it captures the data that has changed since the full one. Just the different stuff, I take that back. That's what I do. So again, this is a decision you need to make. Talk about it at your computer club. What do people do? What works for you? Why is it important? And somebody might give you an answer, and the light bulb goes on, and you go, oh my gosh, that is what I would like to do too. So you don't need to make these decisions on your own. So where do you back up, and what do you back up? Well, some of us back in the day, we all got a D drive. Our data had to be on the D drive. All our apps were on the C drive. Well, back in the day, there years ago, you saw my data D drive, and you can see how old that comes from. And on the right is everything's on my C drive now. I gave up the extra D drive, and I just put it with my few programs, because I don't have a lot of extra stuff that I download. So you have to decide, what is it you are going to back up? Those are the things that I back up. People say, a lot of people forget about that desktop. You might have something out on your desktop that's very important, and for some reason you fell off the turnip truck and hit your head, and you forgot to save it in your documents folder. So you might want to think about including your desktop, but it's your choice. That's a choice you need to make. You might not have any videos, but why include it? So, why in the world do we have to back up? Well, every once in a while, there's an oops. You fat finger something, you hit the wrong key, and file is gone. A photo disappears, or setting gets changed, and you're just tearing your hair out. It's on fire. Well, if you have a backup, that means you can restore things. Everything goes back the way it was. The file comes back, the photo appears, and the setting gets back to the way it was in the first place. And a word to the wise, before you empty the trash can, the recycle bin, make sure you take a quick look through everything and make sure that you haven't accidentally put something in there that you go, oh my gosh, there's a whole file folder of something. Good grief, how did it get there? You restore it and it goes right back where it belongs. Or maybe it's an important photo, and again, you fat fingered it and it disappeared and you didn't even realize it. So stop and smell the roses and check your recycle bin. So it's really simple. What's a backup? It's just a copy of everything, and it's stored somewhere else. We just had a fantastic 2025 tax presentation in February. You might be somebody who does your taxes. You have all your tax information on your computer. You darn well better have that backed up. And it's called just in case something happens. You might have your contacts there. Aunt Sue, you're in the will. You want to remember to be nice to Aunt Sue. All of a sudden, you lost her contact information. Well, if you backed it up, you could get it back. You can, like I said, you can reinstall your programs. You can buy a new computer. You can't get your memories back if they're gone, gone, gone. So, on your phone, we keep so much, honestly, more stuff on our phones now than we do on our computers. Everything is there. I added cruise photos to this list because grandson number 2 is getting married in June, and they are going on the inland water cruise over in Europe somewhere. And I thought to myself, what popped up because the presentation was on my mind, I thought, how about that? Scotty's going to need to start. I need to ask, do you back up? And I want to make sure he does because that's going to be the beginning of their vacations and whatever they do and all that good kind of stuff. And he's not going to want to lose that. And every once in a while, somebody says, I can't find my phone. I have no clue what I did with it. Well, if you haven't backed it up, you've lost everything, which is unfortunate. So your phone falls off the table, you're reaching to hand it to somebody, it slips out of their hands, crash, it gets all cruddy and everything. Our hard drives fail on our computers. If you have not had a hard drive fail, let me tell you, it's not fun. I've had 2. Was involved with the Southwest Technology and Conference in SoCal for over 20 years. And one day I'm sitting, typing away, had turned my computer on and I heard it clicking. And I thought, I took my hands off the keyboard and I thought, well, that's not my keys clicking. And I called my brainstorming guy and also a tech buddy and who had a business. And I said, hey, Jerry, my hard drive is clicking. And he said, oh, Judy, that means it's failing. You need to get a new hard drive and get it down to me right away so I can swap it out. I don't do hardware. And I said, thank you very much. Well, I back up. I was backing up 20 years ago, back in the day. I felt it was important. And if I did not have a backup and it had gone and totally died, I would have had to cancel the conference because all the conference information was on that hard drive. Doggone it, it happened another time. I had a son-in-law who said, I'm going up to ASB Catacamp. And he said, oh, by the way, my hard drive's dying. Will you take care of it? So in my family, we've had 3 go south. You're upgrading to a new device. Well, it's easy peasy. If you've got a backup, you have everything ready to go. You got your photos good to go. You can keep your contacts. You restore everything with your backup. And it's just like moving, a closet of clothes from one closet to another closet. You still have them. They're still in the same order. So backups are really important, and you don't have to think, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to set up everything again. Backing up, it's ready for you to go. You're out traveling. You are on the vacation for a lifetime, and all of a sudden, your phone is gone. You were looking over the side and it slipped out of your hand, and you went, oh, good grief, look at that splash. It just went in the ocean. Or you were in the hospital, and when they cleaned your tray off, your phone was there and they just scooped everything up and it's in a huge trash bin somewhere or whatever. So please, the word is back up, back up, back up. So you don't have to worry about not having everything that's important to you. So we do make mistakes. Oops, we only have one copy of our files. We always keep our backup drives connected. That's a no-no, because if the ransomware, hacker comes along and gets involved with your computer, it locks up everything on your hard drive and it goes, hi, oh, look, there's an external drive. It's connected. I just think I'll go over and lock up all that too. So think about only plugging in your backup drive when you are actually backing up. And you never, ever, ever thought you needed to test that the backup was really working. You set it up. You knew you did it according to all of the instructions. You are a happy camper, but you need to check to make sure. The same thing if you are backing up to the cloud, you need to make sure that it's actually getting there. So the bottom line is you really don't need to be tech savvy with this. It's being about very, very smart and protecting what matters most: memories, independence, peace of mind. And it really doesn't take long to do all this either. So, but see the asterisks up there? This means this is very important. The 3-2-1 rule. You need to keep 3 copies of everything stored on 2 different types of storage, and think about keeping 1 copy offsite. So you've got your original, that's always on, that's what we're saving to in the first place. And then when we're backing up, it zips over to our SSD. Or I found when I gave part of this presentation to my members Monday night, I have 2 people, they would rather use a physical hard drive as their external hard drive because they find SSD drives degrade. And they're not, they don't want to keep changing, one SSD and then having to copy that backup all over to another one, etc. I saw that opened my eyes. And then backup number 2, cloud storage. So that's the 3-2-1 rule, and it's very important. And these people are extremely happy because they have learned about the 3-2-1 rule, and they are participating in making sure they are doing everything correctly. And your cloud backup could be considered for emergencies because it's just sitting up there waiting for you, saying, if you ever need anything, you can download it from here. So what in the world am I going to back up? Well, with your Windows PC, you can see what's important and what you need to back up. With your Mac, same thing. Your iPhone, you decide what is important to you. What is important to you might not be important to somebody else. And they might say, well, that's kind of silly, isn't it? Well, no, it's not, because it's something that you personally want to back up. And then there's your Android. But see, you need to sit down one day if you're not backing up, or if you are backing up, and make a list of what is that you would absolutely come unglued if you didn't have access to it, and you couldn't get it back. And you make sure that's what you're backing up. So, how do you choose a backup app? You decide again. Do you need the easiest setup in the whole free world? The cost. You don't want to pay for anything, or you're willing to pay a little bit of money. Are you interested in speed? How quick can I do this? Do I have to sit around and wait until it's backing up and I can't do anything else or whatever? How secure is it going to be? Well, it's as secure if you are using a cloud backup as the 2FA that you set up, your username, and your extremely wonderful password that you put together. Do you need to restore and recover quickly for some reason? That might be really up at the top of your list. And do we have to have something where I can access everything I have, all my devices, my tablet, my phone, and my PC? So when you're thinking about your backup app, you need to make some decisions on what, again, is important to you. Back in the day, there's those cute little floppies that actually really flopped. They were 5¼ inch. I had one member that used to work for IBM, and he lived on a ranch in the next town up from me. And he said, I have boxes of these black floppies. Would you like them? And I looked him in the eye and I said, no, thank you, but I'll take a half a dozen because I would use them for show and tell. Even I started teaching preschool, and with preschoolers, you do show and tell. Well, you do the same thing with your tech class. I took in everything, that you had here, the floppies that don't flop and everything. So they could touch and feel and look in a hard drive that with the platter open and all that good kind of stuff. But I often wonder what he did with all those boxes. And then again, we had the floppies that didn't flop, and then we were on to CDs, and then we were on to DVDs. And we had a progression of and everything changed because all of a sudden the disks were too small. They did not have enough space for what we were, needing for backing up. So we use external hard drives now. I use an SSD. Like I said, two of my members, they're much more comfortable with physical hard drives. We use third-party apps, or we put it up in the cloud, but that shouldn't be an or, it should really be an and, because that's part of the 3-2-1 rule. So you can back up with your operating system utilities. It's known as the easiest backup method, and it's free, and it comes with your computer that you bought with your operating system. You use Windows Defender, and many of us really do. Why not use a backup that you get with your operating system? So I use the old-fashioned File Explorer one that works wonderfully, file history. So all I did was plug it. I have a new one of those small cube computers. Plug in an external SSD hard drive, and it makes sure, in my estimation, that it's larger than your computer's drive. I have a 2 TB hard drive, and I just have to be honest and say I have a 2 TB external drive too, but I have over a terabyte of stuff on my hard drive. But on the left-hand side, this is where you go. You down in your search box, you go to Control Panel, and you click on this, and says select a file history drive, and you have plugged in your SSD. It pops up. It usually is the next logical drive. It's C is our operating system, our apps and things, and in my case, data. D drive could be your backup drive, your external drive. Back in the day, when D was our document drive, our backup drive was E. And mine was X. I thought that was really cute because you could actually give a letter that you'd like to. You might have the first name that begins with T. Well, you could make it a T drive just for grins. So you select your drive, you pick up what you're going to do, and you have to decide again how many, save copies of files. You want to save them every hour, every day, every week, whatever. How many versions are you going to keep? The default is forever. And you need, again, to make a decision, 1 day, 2 day, whatever. And you just click on the arrow right there and drop the menu down and choose what you want. And it will go right there. And you're almost done. And it says, hi there, I'm backing up, and then it doesn't degrade anything. You just carry on. And if you have a ton and a half of stuff on your hard drive the first time, it's going to take a long time. So you're going to want to make sure that, when you go to bed at night, you don't turn your computer off because it still might be backing up. So why is this something that's good to use? Well, it's easy to set up, truly easy. When you get it done, literally, you don't really need to think about it again. And you can restore deleted files extremely easily. And that's what we want is easy. But this is mine. I needed to go to system, storage, I have Windows 11, disks and volumes, because I got a pop-up that said, hey, lady, there is something wrong with your D drive. And I went, oh Lord, that's my backup drive. And so I went into here, and I feel, since this has happened to me, that this is something that you need to check just for grins every once in a while. My members said they use HD Sentinel, that APCUG a couple of times have had a really good discount on, and it monitors all of your drives and what's happening. And the reason they use the platters, the hard drive ones, is because they could see their SSDs degrading. And my SSD, my hard drive is just fine, but the other one does show that. So it says you need to repair it. This is the second time it's come up. I repaired it. This is telling me I need to go out and buy a new SSD and transfer everything over or re-back up everything from scratch. So I gave that 3 asterisks because I think it's something that maybe we all should check every once in a while because our backups are so important. And I've been backing up for a gazillion years. This is the first time this has ever happened to me. So with your Mac, you've got the wonderful Time Machine. When your Mac says, do you want to use it for Time Machine? You say, use it as my backup disk, turn it on automatically, and boom, you are done. But again, when you plug in that external hard drive, it is recognized. It's completely automatic. Again, restores your whole computer if needed. And I love this. Apple designed and very reliable. I found it interesting that it didn't say that about the Windows one, but that's okay. We've all been using that old Windows 7 backup for 1,000 years. So, why do we need to back up our phones? Somebody might steal it. We never know. Got important data on your phone? It's stolen? Oops, you haven't got it backed up? It's gone. Hardware fails. And every gadget has a life cycle. You have had that phone for eons. Well, eons might be over with next week because it's designed, it's just worn out. And you can't update to the latest operating system, the whole nine. You can dial without a signal. And again, oops, everything is gone. You can't connect to Wi-Fi anymore, and everything is gone. So backing up your phones are critical because people have, like I said, almost more action with their phones than they do their hard drives. You can get a malicious attack. You get a text message and oops, your OS is all mucked up and you have to install a new operating system and you accidentally lose important stuff. Or you send it out for service. You got a cracked screen, you need a new battery, you don't want to change it out yourself. There's something else that needs to be fixed. It drops off the work table at the service place where you're getting it fixed. They decide to play catch with it because it's so old, they think it's fun. You never know what happens when it gets out of your sight. So you definitely need to have a backup. iCloud, here are the settings for backing up. Super simple. And the thing is it backs up. Make sure the phone is plugged in and on Wi-Fi at night so it can do its thing. Backs up everything. Works automatically every night. No cables needed. You can use Wi-Fi. Your Android, you got your ever popular Google backup. Bill James blessed this and said, yes, this is what you do. Don't forget your photos is set to backup in the Google Photos app. Remember, you only have 15 gigabytes of space. You don't have all those gigs that we had a long time ago. Google took them away. So when you're getting close to 15 gigs of space taken in your backup, you're probably going to want to think about purchasing 100 more. I think they are in 100 increments. So it's automatic, works for all Android brands, whether it's a Samsung or a Motorola or whatever. And there you go. You buy a new phone, you take it in, and boom, it looks just exactly like the old one because you restored everything. So you can also, I had a member, went to his funeral yesterday morning, and he did not believe in the cloud. I never could figure out if he had been burned. If he didn't say that he'd had a horrible experience, but he did not believe in the cloud. So and they were cruisers. His wife retired from Princess Cruises, so they had been on many cruises, had a ton and a half of photos, and he was not interested in the cloud, so he backed them up to his hard drive. And then the hard drive went to the external drive. So he had at least, phone, hard drive, and the external hard drive with that. But you just plug in your USB connect the phone to the computer that fits with Max Finder or iTunes, the old iTunes app, say backup now, and oops, there they all have gone over. I have done this before just for grins with my Android, and it's exceedingly fast. And then you can just sit there and look at your pictures from your hard drive, and they're so much bigger than looking at them when they're on your phone. And the same thing with the Android, transfer files, and off it goes. You can make specific folders for these if you want to by name. With Scottsters, it could be the honeymoon, 2026 honeymoon cruise. And that's where he would put all those photos. So however your naming convention is for your photos, that's the way you're going to put it on your hard drive. So you don't mind spending money. You decide, I'm not doing free. I'm going to spend some money on this. And these are three that are usually at the top of the list when they're reviewed. Now, we don't know who these reviewers are in How to Geek or PC World or PC Mag, but they're usually, these are right up close to the top. Or when we talk about backing up at our Wednesday workshops, many members use Macrium. Oh my Lord, they swear by Macrium. It was free for 1,000 years, and then they decided to charge money for it, and everybody came unglued. Oh, I have to pay for this, $50 a year. Oh my gosh. And they are still using the free version. They got in touch with the company in Colorado and said, oh, by the way, and they can still use the free version. We're having an EasyUs presentation by Alan German after mine. And that is people like Leo Notenboom. He wrote a book about this one time, and he's really high on this. They take that as an excellent recommendation. And we have many people who use the Back Upper program, and they really like it. And the prices are all there. For $70, you can get a lifetime of that. For $80, you can get a lifetime of EasyUs. And with Macrium Reflect, I'm sorry, you're paying $50 a year, and you just have to grin and bear it. So cloud backup, that's also cost you dollars. And I have a cloud presentation, and I get asked, what in the world is a cloud, and where in the world is it? It's a secure server on the internet where your files live safely. And ChatGPT told me to think of it as a digital safety deposit box. My files fly up into the cloud and nothing can rain on them. And that is one that was being built in Oklahoma, where Bill James lives. And it's massive. And it apparently is cooled by air coming in from Canada through the windmills, which absolutely blows my mind. I think that's so interesting. And they're building several more data centers in Oklahoma. And that's what they look like inside. And they're really, they're really not up in white fluffy clouds. My data might be outside of whatever town this is located by in Oklahoma, in one of the hard drives that is stored in that building on the left. But it's not really in the cloud, it's just stored someplace else. But I took a tour of Google Home Office one time, and they not only put them in one data center, they'll have them in two or three data centers because they too are cognizant of, oops, something might happen and we wouldn't want to lose your data. I back up to the cloud. I have been for 1,000 years. And my backup is in Calabasas, which is about, 40 miles from me. And we're kind of earthquake prone here in California. John might have a tornado tonight, but we have earthquakes every once in a while. So one of my members got on the phone and called the company in Calabasas and said, "Hey, what do you guys do when you have an earthquake?" And he was told that our data that we upload to the company in Calabasas is also in three other different states where they don't have um, earthquakes. So those are the kinds of things. If you decide to do cloud, you might just pick up the phone and say, "Hey, my data's at your place there, but where's your backup?" And find out where else your data is stored. So what does the cloud backup do? Protects your data from local disasters, fires, floods, theft. Somebody comes in and steals your hard drive or your computer. They run automatically. You set up the time you want it to do. They do it in the background. All you need is a good internet connection. Of course, the faster they go, the faster your internet connection. And if something happens, my files were over in Calabasas and three other locations. So I can get them and easily restore them to my device, which would be my little cube here now. This is what I have. I have iDrive. It is usually number one we don't recommend anything. I personally recommend this, but APCUG as a whole does not recommend anything that we talk about. But I have been using this forever and a day. I have never had a problem when I got my new little cube here. I went in and I set everything up and I could track my life through it as I got remember my data used to be on D, so that was reflected in there, and now my data is on C, and I told it where to go to look for everything. And this is the price. And they always have a deal on the first year. You can get 10 gig for free. If you don't have any more data to put up other than that, you can get it for free, and it'll be in three other states waiting for you. And what happens is they will send you an SSD drive. And at your leisure, you back up to that SSD drive. Then you send it back to them and they populate your account instead of you plugging in, up to iDrive and then watching it back up for 2.5 days over the internet. And this is free. So if you are going to use a cloud backup, you are going to want to see if they offer that. And the operative word is free. You certainly don't want to pay for that service. They have a new mini plan I just found that out. 100 gigabytes is $3 a year, or 500 gigabytes is $10 a year. That might be just fits you just fine. Backblaze is another one that is usually up there when they've been, reviewed and everything. The problem with this is only just for one computer. iDrive is for everything but your kitchen sink, but it does the same thing. You can have a free trial. I highly recommend when you are trying anything new, no matter what type of program it is, if they have a free trial, try it. You might hate it. If you have not got a password manager that you're still using a notebook or little pieces of paper flying around, uh, find a password manager, free trial. Again, you might go, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing that came down the pike, or yuck. I'm a person that I have to be able to do it intuitively. Give me some steps, I can do with that. Give me narrative. I'm not necessarily a happy camper, but if I start using something and it jumps out at me and I immediately know what to do, that's the app or product for me. $99 a year for Backblaze. But again, one computer. Acronis. Almost all of us know, Acronis. We got discounts for 16,000 years for Acronis, True Image, and all the other products. And it was $50 was what it cost back in the day, and we got it for $25. And we love the Acronis products because we got a presentation every year at our club if we wanted it. Gene would go around from club to club. He would come down to Southwest, and then he got to be a senior, and he did not do that, but he did them online. And then he retired and moved to Arizona. And his kids helped him there for a while, and then he really retired. And I laugh because one of my members, who is unable to be here today, but said I could tell you, Gene had a sale and said everybody needs to get however many copies they want because I'm going out of business. My member bought 10 copies of a Cronus backup program. And every time he has to get it updated, he just puts another one in, and he paid, and they were $25 a piece, but Gene gave him a deal. I got the biggest kick out of that. And he said he's on his third product serial number now because he lives and breathes everything that goes along with the program. It's security. It does much more than just backing up. But this might want to be something that you think about. Again, it's $90 a year. And this is my iDrive. I get one of these every single day. It pops up in the lower right-hand corner and says, hi there, Judy. We just backed up 18 more of your files. They might be new. They might be changes to old ones. And it says, oh, by the way, we will do it again. And they did it this is the one that I got yesterday that said they're doing it again. And then I also get this email that says, hi there. This is what we backed up. Everything is peachy fine. Every once in a while, you might get one that said 3 didn't work. You're going to keep your eyeballs on that to make sure that it is working for all of the files that are going up. But it tells you when it started, how long it took. And again, you do not know this is going on. This is all with your cloud backup. It's happening in the background, and it doesn't degrade your system in any way, shape, or form. You're not going to yourself, oh my gosh, this is really slow. So this is another must, absolutely. Testing and validation. Just don't think it's all going to work perfectly. So you need to decide once a month, once a week. I wouldn't do it every day, but choose a day like the 15th of the month or the 30th or whatever, and do a quick memory check. Ask yourself, What do I need to back up? Did I take new photos? Did I save important docs? Did I get a new device? If yes, please make sure your updates, your backups are up to date. And this is again, you work in the legal department and they always tell you do not assume. Do not assume that it's working. Make sure that it's working. I will do this. I will type a silly document. I will save it. It will back up. Remember, I back up every day, so I can do this every day. And then I will go up and I will look for it. And I will give it a really dumb title that is very easily findable. And I will go and I will check just to make sure it's on my external hard drive to the left of my keyboard, or it's up at iDrive in the cloud. Or keep a small notebook. Our memories are full of all kinds of stuff. So write down what you did, backed up on March 1st, added new photos from vacation. Keep yourself organized, and then you can go and make sure it's backed up properly. Don't assume. So Windows, you want to check it out. You don't have your backup drive plugged in all the time. I happen to have mine because I back up every day, but plug it in. Make sure your Windows says, hi there, I'm backing up now. And confirm that whatever it is, the latest backup date is correct. If it was yesterday was the day that was your day to back up, you're going to want to make sure that it was backed up as of March 10th. If it says April, February 10th, you're going to need to do it once a month. Something's wrong. It's not working. Mac, same thing. Click the time machine icon. It's a clock with an arrow, and confirm that the latest backup date is the one that you are looking for. Easy peasy. It's just a quick check. Your iPhone, and you're looking for last successful backup. And if it's older than a week, say, hey, I would like you to back it up now. Same thing with the Android. If needed, say back up now. Almost to the end now. Technology can be confusing sometimes, but backups don't have to be. Once you get it set up, and remember, your club, your group is there to help you. Go to a meeting, ask questions. What kind of backup is everybody using? How easy is it? Well, if that person can do it, I can do it, for heaven's sakes. And ask, and again, don't sit and say, I can't do this, I can't figure it out. Ask for help. So I like this. Your computer is like a filing cabinet. I was at a APCUG annual meeting at Comdex 1,000 years ago, and Bill Gates used to kind of just drop in every once in a while, and he sat there and said, your computer is like a filing cabinet. And my logical mind went, oh my gosh, I have my entire hard drive and every single email program that I use like a filing cabinet is. And when I taught my classes, I had a file cabinet next to my desk in the computer room. And as I would talk about backing up or creating folders and files and things like this, I would take my hand and slam it against the four-drawer file cabinet, and everybody would jump. And boy, they're going to remember that Mr. Gates wants us to think of our computer hard drive as a file cabinet. And when the DOJ sued us one time, and they would ask for documents, I got them usually within 2 days. And they said to one of the guys going back to testify, how does she do that? It's like a filing cabinet. If they wanted to know something about our nuclear pharmaceutical offices in a foreign country, it was in a folder, for heaven's sakes, on my hard drive, everything pertaining to them, no big deal. But that's the way my brain goes. So you need to set your backup how your brain goes. And so computers plus your backup drive plus your cloud, safer files, that's the 3-2-1 rule. And all our memories deserve that protection. I got a call one day from a friend of my son's, and I helped her with her computer. And this little voice said, Mrs. Taylour, I turned my computer on today, and all I got was a black screen. The dreaded black screen. And I said, Bree, have you backed up anything? And she said, somebody gave me a backup drive for Christmas, and I've been meaning to call you so you could set it up for me. That family lost every single picture of their blonde-haired, blue-eyed little daughters. Gone, totally. The only photos they ended up with is what my son could send back that they had sent him, friends and relatives. They lost everything. So you never know when that might happen to you. So that's why backing up is so important. So it's don't be an April Fool. We all need to take the World Backup Day pledge, and I would like you all to take the pledge with me, okay? I solemnly swear to back up my important documents and precious memories at least on March 31st, because that's World Backup Day. And I'm going to tell my friends and family that they should back up on that day too, because real friends don't let friends go without a backup. And it's time for questions. Do we have any questions?
Bill should have maybe some.
I have one so far. Please help me understand the difference between incremental and differential backup. Thank you.
One of them backs everything up, each time it backs up. The other one backs up everything and then just the changes and what's new.
That's the only one I have.
Gabe, you're on.
Hi. Whoops. Hi, I think I'm unmuted. Great presentation. I caught a couple of, took a couple of screenshots to remind me to do things. I wanted to make 2 points. One is that I love hard drive Sentinel. I've been using it for many years. It saved my bacon several times. One of the things, if you're using an SSD, one of the things you can get out of it is the health of your SSD. And so being the kind of spreadsheet-oriented person that I am, I set up a spreadsheet with maybe eight or 10 columns with the date and the number of terabytes that have been written to the drive and the number of bytes and the average number of bytes being written to the drive per day. And maybe most important, the momentary health of the drive. And so I can watch two things. I can watch trends in how much data is being written. And it's usually pretty constant. But if I see a trend where it's just going up, I might want to look into that. My previous computer, my Windows 7 computer, after some work on it, suddenly Windows started pounding on the hard drive. And I could see the health going down by 1% about every 10 days. And that was not sustainable. And so that nudged me, okay, it's time to start actually using the Windows 10 computer that I had bought a while ago. And on the Windows 10 computer, the amount of data being written is relatively stable. And the health of the SSD is going down by 1% about every 9 months. And so that's a very healthy statistic. That's a very healthy trend. And so if you're using hard drive Sentinel, which everybody ought to be because it's way too cheap for the value that it provides, you can get a check on how much data is being written and also on the health of the drive. And you especially want to watch the health. And if it starts, you only have 100% to spend. And you might want to watch how fast that's declining. And if it's going too fast and you don't know why, as Judy has said, it's time to take action.
Would you send me just the headings for your spreadsheet, please?
Sure, I'll send you the whole thing. There's nothing private about it, and it's interesting to watch. I'm making a note right now to send you the spreadsheet. And I had another thought which I have forgotten.
What's my next question going to be before you go to your next thought?
Well, I've forgotten my next thought because I said so much about hard drive Sentinel. If I remember, I'll raise my hand again.
Okay, well, my next thought is, could you please get in touch with the guy and see if we can get another discount?
Sure, he is very friendly in that regard,
Wonderful.
and he consistently refuses to raise his price, even though I tell him he should.
Thank you. And that's what my two members were doing. They were using hard drive Sentinel, and they were watching their SSD drive degrade. And that's when they went back to the physical hard drives for their external backup. So that worked for them. Michael, unmute yourself, please.
Got it. If we're talking about seniors that are not technically astute, knowledgeable as we are, is anybody recommending or using Crystal Disk Info, which is a Microsoft Store download for checking disks?
No.
Okay, it seems to be a little more basic than hard drive Sentinel, but I just wanted to see if there was any information. The other thing, Judy, is you talk a lot about backups, but you don't mention just copying data. And instead of doing a backup, I regularly just copy data using a program called Free File Sync. And I have two external drives, one in HDD and one in SSD, so I'm kind of covered on both ends. I don't know why you don't mention something of that nature.
Because I usually talk about it, and it's a backup too.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
That's John's thing. In fact, he's giving a presentation to a group aren't you giving it to a group in Florida?
And a group in Ohio twice next week.
Ohio, and then I need to send you the one for the group in Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
So then you'll have it memorized, and then you'll think I already said that. I won't say that again. So that's Crystal Disk Info. Never heard. I will check that out. John Pierce, how's your weather?
Extraordinarily warm.
He's in Colorado.
Our snowpack is only about 50% of what it should be.
Oh.
So anyway, I'll support what Gabe has said about hard drive Sentinel. My experience has been I've lost 3 external SSDs. I won't bother to mention the brands, but different brands. And what I have seen is you lose a percent or two today, and it's 5% tomorrow and 10% the day after. So once they start to fail, the failure happens really quickly, my experience. So I have a 1 terabyte SSD inside my notebook. I can do basically 2 backups on an external SSD. And I'm thinking very seriously about going to an external hard drive and probably spend the money to get a mirrored pair and the box, to make that all work. I've gotten to the point where I'm getting a lot of documentation through the internet. I'm not getting mailed documents. The bank will keep 2.5 years, and my brokerage keeps 4 years, and everybody seems to have their own length of time that they'll keep stuff. So I'm starting to feel if I'm really going to go paperless, I need to get on track and start doing my own backup. And the external SSDs I don't think are just going to hack it.
Yeah, I was responsible for the legal department files of all things. And when we were bought by Cardinal Health, everything had to be packed up and stored. And there's legal requirements. You have to send this for this long, then you can get rid of it. And this is you can keep. And there's all kinds of regulations out there on how long you have to keep stuff. It's painful. Jay, you're on.
Quick question. Microsoft 365 gives you 1 terabyte on one email and 5 on other 5 email. That is a backup, but not backup of all the applications and so on, but the basic ones, like you said, desktop, document, music, etc. Is that decent enough to use unless you really want iDrive type of thing, which does the entire disk image by image?
And where are you putting your documents backing up?
Microsoft 365.
I know, but are you putting them on OneDrive?
Yes.
Okay, well, on the 25th, we are having a presentation that you will find out that that's not what you should be doing because OneDrive is just for syncing. It's really not for backing up.
Correct. But
Don't
it is
be
still
appalled, Mr.
it
James.
is still syncing. So if it's syncing,
Right.
isn't that really a backup?
No, it is not. Syncing is, Mr. James is the king of syncing. And he syncs his Samsung phone with his mini Mac, with his Chromebook, with his Windows, his Samsung laptop. And that's what syncing is for, is sharing information among all of this stuff. But I understand with OneDrive, if you decide you don't want to use it anymore, you're really out of luck when you try to put them down on your C drive. But anyway, make sure you come to the 25th presentation, and a gentleman from the Willow Valley Computer Club is going to give an excellent presentation on it.
Thank
And,
you. Is that John Santaro?
No, he's never
Thank
given
you.
a presentation to us before. Mr. James, you're on.
I have two other questions that came in after you started talking. If you shouldn't leave a backup drive connected, how can automatic backup work?
Let's put it this way. Bob G plugs he unplugs himself from the internet on Friday night, and he plugs in his backup drive to all of his computers that he has. And as he goes to bed, he says, "Thank you for backing up." And when he gets up in the morning and Saturday, all of his computers have been backed up. He unplugs his backup drives. He goes back out to the internet by plugging it in, and life goes on for him. That's just something the way he does it. He is bound and determined not to get ransomware on his hard drive and going through to his external drive.
And there's a second part of that question. I've been afraid to test a backup for fear it would overwrite current files. How does a test work?
Oh, you just go to your backup. And again, remember I said that I made a really silly title and I would put in "now is the time for all hoo-has to do whatever." And I would save that. And then that would be the document I would look for. And I'd log into my account, and I would go to my documents, and wherever I put it, I would put it someplace that I remembered and it was prominent, and I would check to make sure that document was there. And if it was, golden. If it's not, I'm going to have to figure out what's wrong with my backing up.
And the next is just a comment. For Samsung phones, Smart Switch works great in backing up everything. It's easy to follow. The prompts to back up are restored to a new phone. And I can vouch for that. That is correct because I just did it yesterday.
Okay, but what you approved that I put in the presentation, that's a good statement.
That's different.
Okay.
This is just for transferring data from one phone to another.
Oh, got it. Very good. Thank you. Gabe Goldberg, you thought of your other thing.
I did. I actually had time to remember that and something else also. Talking about storage limits, families can share storage. So if one person has a paid subscription to something, there are often ways within Apple and within Microsoft OneDrive that you can share storage. And so rather than each person having an individual allotment, sometimes if one person has a fancy subscription, everybody can hitchhike on that as long as you're not building too many videos and photos. The other thing that I wanted to mention, I'm in the 1-year extension of Windows 10 support, and uncharacteristically, I'm actually buying my Windows 11 computer now rather than next October. I'm having my computer built. I like custom machines rather than off the shelf. But it occurred to me that when you're installing a new machine, that's a great time to both review how you're doing your backup and do clean slate design of your backup, because you have all sorts of options when your new system is new. Before you've done anything, before you've put your files anyplace, it's a good time to design your backup architecture using what you got from presentations like this, starting from scratch, deciding your 3-2-1 backup, whether you're going to go offline to do your backup, whether you're going to do cloud backup. Think about it as a blank slate, not what you've been doing for the last 25 years since Windows 95.
Oh, we can't keep doing that? How about since 3.1?
I didn't have one of those.
Oh, okay. I just say, don't always have to change. No, 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 no. But hey, that's a good idea. And I would imagine that once you get that Windows 11 computer in your hot little hands, you are going to go through every single setting and customize it the way Gabe Goldberg wants to use it, not the way Microsoft wants you to use it. Am I correct?
Right. The advantage of having it custom built is that it does not come with crapware. It's not burdened with anything Microsoft or anybody else wanted to put on it. So the computer is also a blank slate aside from just Windows. And what I described to the fellow who's building the computer for me as it'll take a while for me to beat Windows 11 into submission, getting all the settings all the way I want them before I actually start using that as my main system.
Outstanding. What fun. Marshall, your turn. Unmute.
Thank you. Real quick question, I think. You talk a lot about backing up. You don't talk about restoring. My experience has been the restoring process is as painful as terribly painful, where you have to move each file back separately or set up new directories. Is there a way, or did any of these make the restoring easier? And does it depend on whether it's restoring from a full, incremental, or differential?
I've only had to restore file folders, but John Kennedy was having a cow there with his thumbs and everything. I bet he can answer that question.
We've got to remember that there's two big differences. Today, we're mostly talking about data backup. Data backup and data restore is not a problem if you're using the right system, and Marianne can attest to that. Image backup and restore, that can be the one that causes problems. And I think that's what the person who Bill's question was. It's risky. If you have a bad image backup and then you re-image your computer, it could be toast. But we're mostly talking about the data backup because that's what you can't afford to lose. Microsoft or Mac or Linux has an operating system you can always get back, but your data is created by you and nobody else has that. So data backup, it's a breeze.
Yeah, it's a breeze. Comes back. But remember, Judy does not do a data image. I'm not interested in that. I buy a new computer like Gabe has, and it's all nice, fresh, and wonderful. Thank you for muting yourself. Does that help in any way, Marshall? We decided that it's easy to restore documents. Oh, you're muted. There you go.
Does it make a difference though if your backup was a full incremental or differential? If you had a differential, do you have to go back to every differential in order to restore the data on your computer? I'm very confused on the whole restoration process of even data.
Okay, hold on. Tim, do you have an answer to that?
Oh,
Sorry about that.
No, I had to give you permission.
Oh,
thank you.
Okay. Offhand, an incremental backup regime. You have a full image backup first. Then every day after that, you get an incremental backup of just what changed.
Okay.
If you have to restore, you restore, if need be, the image backup. Say you lost the hard drive. And then you take the oldest incremental backup, restore it. Then you take the next oldest day and restore it. And you keep going through all the incremental backups. With a differential backup, there's only one extra file that contains the latest version of all your documents and changes. So if you have to restore the image, that's fine. Then you restore the differential backup and you're done. As far as whatever was last backed up in the incremental or the differential backups. Now, periodically, you got to do new image backups, and you should have 3 versions minimum. The one you just made and the last 2 you made. But the differential and incremental backups usually are wiped out and restarted after that new image.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I want to remind everybody too that if you remembered what Judy said, our second presentation is, we're talking about image backup. So that restoration will be covered in that presentation as well.
And I do it the easiest possible way. I buy a new computer and I just take my little folders and I just swoosh them right over because I'm only interested in the last version of the document that I took, that I have. Because again, if I want a different version, I do a -1 and so on. Kathleen, you're good to go.
Before that, I've got to interject because to remind people, because it may be very obvious to some people that Judy's presentation very specifically ignored and skipped over a lot about Linux. She talked about Windows and
That's
Mac.
because it's not the third Wednesday.
Right. And so just because of the question that came up in the chat box, that next week is Linux backup. So we are going to be talking a whole bunch about Linux backup next week. So stay tuned and be there for that.
I forgot to say, John Kennedy says, do not use iDrive for Linux computers. And I read that in a couple of the reviews early this morning, just for grins.
Yeah, it's an issue with their desktop program on it. You have to do a lot of command line. Yeah, it's a lot of command line.
Yeah. Kathleen.
Okay, let me get her asked to unmute. Admit somebody.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I had actually 3 questions and you just answered one of them. I did not know that there's a Linux SIG essentially. I've wondered because I thought that these meetings I attend would also cover Linux at times because it gets mentioned. So I need to get a notice about that.
You do.
And yes, so where do I guess I'll start with that. Where do I sign up for the next Wednesday?
How did you receive information about this Wednesday workshop?
I don't know. I've been attending them for on and off for a number of years.
Did you receive the email directly from me, or did you get it forwarded to you by somebody in your tech club?
At least somebody in my my local.
Okay, you might want to take a look at the email and look at the close to the top where it says, if you'd like to get your own personal email, click on this link, and that way you'll get one because your club might not always forward them, but you will always get them from me if you get on my MailChimp list. There's 1,700 people on it.
I have to be on MailChimp?
No.
No. That's your email list. Once you register, so look at your email that you got, find out if you want your own email, click on the link and put your information in.
Right, I will do that.
Yeah, the big thing is if you've registered for a workshop, not gotten a link from a club member, if you've actually registered, then you would have been getting the Linux workshops because we've been doing this since right after COVID. So we've been doing it
November of 2020.
2020, yeah. So it's always the third Wednesday except for months with Saturday safaris. All right, your question.
Kennedy, it's your turn.
I wanted to make sure she had all of her stuff done.
I didn't. Yeah, my question
go ahead,
was
Kathleen.
actually not about that. I had So I am sorry, but my primary question was I'm confused about an SSD hard drive. Like for example, my SanDisk. Well, you can't see it unless I turn my camera on, but a SanDisk 1 terabyte portable. It's not a thumb drive. It's a portable hard drive.
Right.
I just bought another one at Costco for 2 terabyte for $219 a couple days ago, but I don't think it's going to work for Linux. So I haven't opened it yet.
Yes, it will.
Okay, despite what they say, they don't say they cover it. Okay, so I know that with my Linux computer, my older thumb drive SanDisks, literally the thumb size ones, they did work. So,
yes.
Okay, I thought maybe they changed it. Okay, that's good to know. And what about Raspberry Pi? I bought a Raspberry Pi 5. Does that make a difference when I'm doing backup to the same drive that I'm using for Windows? I have a Windows 11 and then Linux.
No, as long as if you're using the hard drive for both, as long as the format is recognizable by Windows, Linux recognizes the format too. Okay. I have backups with both.
Okay, so that was one question, and so what is the difference? So if I want to go out to get a safer hard drive, and I would go back, it sounds like, to a portable spinning disk, what used to be, really literally a hard drive, but I don't know if you can find one. Where does one find a non-SSD backup portable hard drive that is not a thumb drive?
I'm sure Amazon has them. They have everything.
Okay.
Yeah, my question is, why would you want to go to a regular hard drive?
Because of what my two members experienced with their SSD drives failing daily.
And we have other people that have spinning
and we had
drives
somebody
fail.
else say the same thing. They do degrade quicker than, because they're faster, but they do degrade, whereas our platters didn't. They just spun around and did their thing.
Okay. I just learned on this training that I could get a way to monitor a hard drive SSD. So I will look into that also, because I didn't realize that there was software that I could load or that I could just do it myself by looking somehow at the hard drive. So if I have it plugged into my F drive and I'm backing up onto my F drive, then there's a way that I can can monitor the function of that SSD, which I did not know until now. So hopefully I'm correct about that assumption. Somebody will say if I.
You learned today. Very good.
Okay, so that is true. Okay, thank you.
No, that I just require a minimum of one thing every day. Time I do it, I attend a tech presentation. So if that's your one thing, that's great. Bill James, you're on.
I'm a surrogate again. Comment, when a hard drive SSD will no longer boot up, usually, not always, the boot sector has become corrupted. If one removes the corrupted hard drive SSD from his or her computer and installs it in an enclosure to convert the drive into an external USB drive, then one can connect the USB external drive to a computer and recover the data files.
Can anybody answer that? I don't do hardware. I do backing up and stuff like that.
I don't have an answer. I think I understand what he's saying, but I think he's just making a statement.
Oh, okay. Then we'll move on to Chris.
No, hold on.
I'm sorry.
Not finished. Some interesting reliability data for the year of 2023 by a cloud service organization, not applicable to 2025, is the SSD edition 2023 DriveStat mid-year review. That's another statement.
Oh, okay.
And I think the last one here is I believe that's it.
Okay, you want to shoot me an email with all those comments?
I will.
Thank you so much. Chris Taylor, you're on.
Okay, and before I give Chris the okay, we need to make sure if you have specific questions to be questions, if you have comments and stuff, you can always send that to Judy because we're into the second hour and we have another presentation yet to go.
Right.
Okay, very quick. Let's see. Yeah, Mario. Okay. Very quickly on when you do a restore from image backup, it's actually very, very easy. You don't have to go through multiple restores and so forth. If you have, say, for example, you do a full backup on the first of the month and then incrementals every day of the month going on. If you wanted to restore to the 15th, you go into the program, you just say you want to restore from the 15th. It works out what it has to restore from. So it'll automatically do the thing of doing the full backup and then getting the correct incrementals in place. You just choose the date and away you go. So it works very smoothly.
Thank you. Tim.
Okay, this is addressing a comment about Kathleen and her backup of multiple machines. I do that constantly. The way I work it, and it's the best way that I've ever found, on the backup drive, I first create a folder for each identifiable machine I'm going to do backups on. Then, when I'm in the backup software, it asks for the destination of the backup you're about to create. You make sure it's going to the correct external drive and the correct machines folder before you initiate the backup. And it'll put it in the proper place and you'll find it when you want it later.
Good suggestion.
You were listening to Mr. Gates when he said, think of your hard drive as, a file cabinet. Very good. Jerry Crow, you're it.
Thank you. Regarding the comment that Bill James read, if in fact you had an SSD and only the boot sector was messed up, which I don't know, the MFT is right behind the boot sector, and if the MFT gets messed up, you're not going to be able to easily recover the data. But you could take that SSD out, put it on an external drive for another machine, and recover the data from it. That's quite possible. But for a boot sector to be messed up and not the MFT, I don't know. That doesn't sound like very likely.
Thank you. You always have something on the bottom line. Okay. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for listening. And I hope that you learned at least one new thing, or you learned, oh my gosh, I need to check that because I haven't ever checked that it's actually working. So you don't come unglued sometime. And the next time we see you, your body parts are all over the place. And at the Los Angeles Computer Society presentation last night that Chris Taylour gave, he talked about a new app that he thinks is better than sliced cheese. It's called appcontrol.com. Now, there's got to be people out there that use an app that they really think is outstanding and great. I asked him if we had time at the 25th Wednesday workshop. He's going to do his WoW backing up presentation, and the guy from Willow Valley is doing OneDrive is not a backup. And we might not have time for him to demo that, but I'd really like some people to raise their hand or send me an email and say, I use this app. I would be more than happy to give a short presentation on it, warts and all. So we could all learn about some different things. And I'm looking at you guys and you turkeys, there's not one person nodding their head yes. Now, I haven't had any sleep. I was up all night because I wasn't happy with my presentation, so I completely redid it. And I can't get anybody to give a short presentation on something they use or something that they have given to their group. I say to you, poo-poo. I'll keep working on that. I swear none of you guys went to kindergarten. Thank you much, Mr. John. Do your thing, take it away, and we will get ready for Alan and easiest to do.
Yeah,
I'd
like to thank Judy for sharing with us. As we can tell from the length that we've gone, that there's a lot of questions about backup, and really we could have more workshops on backup because we're not going to cover everything in the 3 weeks that we do this. So if you have something backup, we don't mind talking about backing up when it's not March. So let us know that you'd like to share your favorite backup. Next week at the Linux one, it's going to be half of the workshop. The second half is a roundtable where Linux people will be able to share with other Linux people what they use and what they like best, so we can find out which one maybe everybody's using the most. So it'll be a good one if people take part, or it'll be a very short one. So thanks, Judy, and we'll end this recording and get ready to start the next one.